Hello and welcome to this brief video on presentation skills training. The idea of this video is to help you identify areas of presentation skills training that you or your team may require. Let's just start off with a question. Have you ever gone to a presentation and when you were listening to the presenter, you were literally bored out of your head? Has that ever happened to you? Lots of people have that experience. But also, you may have the experience where you were not bored out of your head and you were delighted with the delivery of the presenter. So what is a good presenter doing over and above a bad presenter? That's a question that we need to ask. And there really are three things that a really good presenter will do. They're going to focus on the message. And they're going to create a message of value that benefits their audience members. Another thing a good presenter will do is that they will be able to engage the audience. And there's a certain amount of techniques that can be used in order to make that a reality. And in addition to that, they are reacting to feedback. And they're reacting to feedback even during the delivery itself. So these are things that you might want to consider the next time you're listening to a presenter and whether he or she is making you sad or happy. Now, nobody is born a natural orator. The fact of the matter is that public speaking is a learnable skill. And the problem that a lot of people have around presenting is that they get nervous. And the reason they get nervous is they don't understand that there's a structure to developing and a process to delivering excellent presentations. And what we're going to do is just to break that down. So we're going to look at what's referred to as the presentation process. And there's three distinct areas in relation to this. There's the pre-delivery stage, there's the actual delivery of the presentation, and then there's post-delivery. And each one of these plays a vital part in delivering a highly effective presentation. But what's most interesting in relation to the presentation process is, especially people new to this endeavor, they focus on delivery. But if I were to put percentages next to each one of these boxes, these are the way I'd weight them. I would say that pre-delivery comes in at 80%. That's how important pre-delivery and preparation is. Delivery is a mere 10%, and then post-delivery is also 10%. That's a weighting I would attach to these particular areas. And what I need to do now is explain to you an overview. I won't be able to go into all the detail, but to give you a kind of insight into what's happening in each one of these areas to make you better at delivering a presentation. So let's just look at pre-delivery and what needs to be dealt with there. So we'll talk about pre-delivery. So before you even walk into the venue, there's certain things you need to consider. And the number one thing that you need to consider at pre-delivery stage is the message. And it must be a message of value to the audience. And how do you ascertain that? That means that you need to identify what are the benefits to the audience. So benefits will be really important. And usually you'd want to have at least 3 benefits. If you have 10, just focus on the top 3. But if there are no benefits to your audience to listen to you, then they will not listen to you. That's the end result there. In order to create clarity, you need to have an aim, and you need to be able to write this aim down of the presentation into 6 or 10 words. And that causes difficulty sometimes for people because it's not necessarily an easy thing to do, but simply it's a matter of practice, and there are certain techniques that you can learn that will facilitate your ability to condense your message into 6 to 10 words. And by having it written down into 6 or 10 words, it just makes it easier for your audience to know what you're literally talking about. Now, another area you need to consider at the pre-delivery stage is the presentation outcome. What do you want as a result of delivering your presentation? So there's an idea called the 4 E's. We'll just talk about those briefly. The first E is, do you simply want to entertain people? Make them laugh, make them smile, have a pleasant time listening to you, whatever the case may be. So entertainment could be an outcome of your presentation. Maybe you want to enlighten the audience members. So this means that you want to raise their awareness about a certain topic or issue. Or maybe you want to educate them. This means you want them to leave or know at the end of your presentation they're going to have specific knowledge of something they didn't have at the beginning of it. And then you may want to have an effect. And the effect would be a call to action. You're going to get them to do something, buy a product, change their minds, vote in a particular way. You're going to have an effect on them. These are very much important areas for you to consider in the pre-delivery stage. Then there's the time of the delivery. So the time allocation. How long is your speech going to last? And there was a very interesting book written a while ago called Talk Like TED. And the gentleman who wrote that book, he simply looked at all the speeches, well, not all the speeches, but a variety of speeches, like hundreds of speeches delivered by TED speakers. And he identified the optimum time of delivery. And he came out with the idea that 18 minutes is the optimum time to deliver a message. Less than that is not enough to get a message across the line. More than that, you start to lose your audience. So you might want to think about that next time you're delivering a presentation. Why would you want to deliver a presentation in excess of, let's say, 20 or 30 minutes? Because once you start getting into an hour or an hour and a half, it's very difficult to continuously engage your audience for that period of time. And then also in the pre-delivery stage, you want to look at the structure of your presentation. And this is very simple, but hugely important. So you're going to have an intro, you're going to have a main body, and you're going to have an ending. And part of the idea of presentation skills training, it would explore what are essential elements of each one of these. What do you need to include to make sure that you're ticking all the right boxes to create an excellent presentation or speech? So this is 80% of your work. If you've got this amount of work done before you get to delivery stage, you'll be a lot calmer, a lot more in control, and you'll have a better overall impression on your audience. Let's have a little look then at delivery. In relation to delivery, there's something that you need to do very quickly. And what you need to do is you need to answer the question, why should people listen to you? Why should people, i.e. your audience, listen to you? Because that's the question that's going on in the minds of your audience. And you may have an answer to that. In fact, you better have an answer to that, or you're going to run into all kinds of problems. So maybe it's because you're an expert, or you have a solution to the problems that they're having, or you're going to help them achieve a goal. You need to make sure that you communicate that very quickly in your delivery. The other thing you need to be doing in the delivery stage is to consider your energy levels. You need to have the appropriate level of energy to deliver your presentation so it communicates to your audience that you're enthusiastic and keen and passionate about your subject matter. This really helps engage an audience. And the other thing that you want to do during your delivery would be to build rapport with your audience. And there's a certain amount of techniques that you can learn that will facilitate that. You can ask questions, inject a bit of humor, obtain a show of hands, but you need to get this rapport with your audience and build it as you go. There are other things that you want to consider in relation to the delivery, but I haven't got the time to go through them in this short explainer video. The last area we're going to look at then is around this area of post-delivery. And this is often overlooked because sometimes you just get to the end of your delivery, this bit here, and you just say, wow, thank goodness that's all over. I can just have time now to just calm myself down. But you're really going to miss out on a lot of learning if you don't consider post-delivery events. And what you want to look at here is audience feedback. And this is simply finding out from the audience what they enjoyed, what they didn't enjoy, what they found most engaging, and what they didn't. And this is very, very useful. You can do this in a formal way. You can actually ask for written feedback, or if that's not appropriate, you could just go over and speak to people who are in the audience and get some informal feedback. And useful questions would be, what was the most memorable aspect of my presentation? Or could you tell me what the aim of my presentation was? If they can't answer these simple questions, there's something seriously wrong, and you're going to have to go back to pre-delivery to sort that out. Another thing you can do from a post-delivery perspective is self-evaluation. And that's for you to reflect on how well you think that this whole presentation went, your whole presentation went. I mean, you could be quite brutal with yourself and ask yourself, was it an A delivery, a B, C, D, or for B, God forbid, an E or something worse than that? That wouldn't be great. So you want to consider that yourself. How would you evaluate or rate yourself as a presenter after your delivery? And then you might want to gather some evidence. And evidence means that there's some metric that you can identify that would clarify whether your message was received in the way that you want it to be received. So it could be whether people are changing their behaviors, or it could be that you've sold some products or you've improved morale. Whatever you set out to do, is there any evidence to justify that actually happened? So these are the three areas that you need to consider when you're delivering a presentation: pre-delivery, delivery, and post-delivery. These are only very limited explanations of what goes on in each one of these areas, but it will guide you as to how to improve and how you could focus your attention. If you'd like to find out any more about learning materials I produce, you can have a look at my website, which is michaellukecollins.com. Thank you for watching.